Welcome to the first edition of Wind Against Tide Up Late and Personal, Joey. We're recording the latest we've ever recorded, 8:30 p.m. on a Thursday night. So thanks to everyone who's stayed up past their bedtime to jump on with us tonight. We've got a few things to catch up on. The weather's obviously been pretty bad in our part of the world, but there's a lot to look forward to. So we'll cover some of that. We have, I've done a little bit of fishing. I don't know what Joe's been up to. But we will find out shortly. What have you been up to, Joey?
Dave, I'm loving it. We've got 20 viewers in the live chat room with us right now. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Wind Against Tide. And just also a big thank you to everyone supported us for the last few weeks. Dave, it's been a huge last few weeks. And if you love that podcast, encourage you to go back and listen to other episodes. We had Al McGlashan on last week. We had Peter Pakula, and we also had Jonah Yick talk about his monumental sword capture of 289 kilos. So we've got some great content sitting on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. And yeah, we can't thank you enough for getting behind us.
I absolutely did love talking about Jonah's massive sword a few weeks ago. His swordfish, that is. But
he'll be happy you said that.
Anyway, we move on. But no, we've had a little bit of feedback lately that a few people do quite enjoy the shows where it's just you and I, Joey. So you know what? We thought we're just going old school here, me and Joe. There is some contributing factors to that. I mean, I was bed/toilet ridden for the majority of this week. We didn't know if I'd get up for this show. But here I am.
How is your wee bum going, Davey?
Joey. This is rated for children, you know that.
No, it's 8:30. It's gone straight to R18 rated plus.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's like I've got a 15-month-old at home. He goes to daycare. They bring home all the bugs. I don't reckon I've been as sick as often as I have this year, Joe. I reckon every second week I got something else.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Are you getting better though, mate?
Yeah, I'm pretty good now. I've just improved in time for tonight's show. I wouldn't have been any good last night, that's for sure.
You know what? True story. I've never actually had gastro. Like I've caught it off somebody else. If I've ever had problem with, being sick in the guts, it's probably due to eating bad food or maybe salami that sat in the sun once. A true story. I ate salami that when I was fishing in Mauritius on charter, classic Italian in a African country, thought it'd be a great idea to buy salami to bring and eat on the boat with bread. And, there was no esky. So I put this salami in the bottom of the hull. It was probably 28 degrees and about 98% humidity. And when it got to lunchtime, I ate the salami that'd been sitting, baking beautifully in this in the front of this beautiful game boat with the fly bridge. And yeah, I ate the salami with the little peppercorns in it, and it was delicious at the time. But holy hell!
Isn't that the point of salami, Joe? That it's like you don't have to refrigerate it and stuff. I thought that would have been fine.
Yeah, I thought it was cured meat. Like,
yeah,
the ingredients were cooked, but no, the salami got baked in the Mauritian sun in the front hull of this boat. And yeah, I was a wee bumming for like the whole week. Dave, did you have the salada, biscuits, and the dry lemonade? That's always, because you can't really eat anything when you got crook stomach. If you're having like oily stuff, it aggravates the tummy. What were you eating?
Oh, just a lot of plain foods, Joey, toast and hydrolyte and all that. But we might not talk about my illness all week.
That's all right. That's my story. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're better. Let's move on. What else have we got on tonight?
Oh no, well actually, while you were just talking about your Mauritius trip, I was thinking about that today.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of a return to Mauritius next year, and can we make it a viewers trip?
Absolutely. I may be going back to Mauritius this November. My father's godfather is turning 100, so might be making a special trip to Mauritius in November. We've got the captain, we've got the boat. It's a 50-foot liverboard boat, and the captain has fished Sudan Bank all his life. So that's, for those of you just listening now, Sudan Bank is approximately 210 kilometers in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's a bank that a plateau of about goes, its shallowest point is 50 meters in depth, and it basically it comes up from about 2,000 meters up to 50 meters. And the captain, Jean Pierre, who has been fishing it all these years, he's actually got mapped out in his GPS the Sudan Bank itself, which is totally different from the Simrad or Lawrence map, or I don't know, can't remember what sounder he's got. Sorry, GPS he's got, but this guy's fished this remote bank in the middle of the Indian Ocean so much he's actually marked the plateau of the bank on his GPS plotter all around. So that was one of the wow moments when we went fishing with this guy of how well he knows these waters. So yeah, looking at going back there, I would love to go back there when the dogtooth tuna are on. Like we, as many yellowfin as you wanted, sort of from that 20 to 40 kilo range. And we just missed out on the doggies. And yeah, that's up on your screen right now. If you guys want to check it out, it's on Wind Against Tide's YouTube channel. You can. What is the title of that video called, Dave?
It's called "Is This Fishing Paradise? Yellowfin Tuna Galore, Sudan Banks, Mauritius."
Yep.
But logistically, Joe, with a trip like that, is it how many flights did you have to get there? This is for everyone who's might be planning on coming with us next year. Everyone listening, if you're keen, keep in touch, and we may make something like that happen, I reckon. But logistically, is it 1 or 2 flights over there to Mauritius, and is it an expensive trip out on that boat? Rough cost.
Yeah, look, rough cost. Look, to get to Mauritius, you go on Air Mauritius, and it's one flight from Melbourne to Perth, and then from Perth you take, so it's 4 hours to Perth, and then from Perth to Mauritius, it's about 8 hours straight across the Indian Ocean. So yeah, look, flights are sort of around that sort of, oh my gosh, my mum will kill me who's in the travel business, but sort of anywhere from the 1,500 on the low season to $2,000 return. And the boat, you're sort of looking at about $2,000, give or take. But yeah, if anybody's interested, we will.
Yeah,
We'll
well,
definitely price it up.
I wasn't going to bring it
properly.
up tonight, but I was, in the cold, horrible, windy weather we've got at the moment, not too many options abound for us locally. It had me thinking of warmer waters. And I thought, it looks like a bloody awesome adventure up there. The fishing is potentially even better than what you had. And it seemed when you were there, the yellowfin tuna were basically a pest. Wahoo, the deep jigging was pretty good. You were catching like coronation trout and GTs and all sorts of stuff. But sounds like when you're there in the right time, the blue marlin fishing is world class, exceptional. Potentially the GT fishing is exceptional. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool, and a different culture too, which is pretty appealing.
It's really cool, actually. They're very fluent in English and French as the two main languages spoken there. English and French. And look, when I went there on the 8th of November, and they were saying that the water was cold. It was only 24 degrees. Really, their fishing really goes into overdrive when it hits sort of that 26-degree mark there. But even in November, the fishing was fantastic. I'm told to target the new moon. That's when the doggies really come on. But great hospitality too. We had 4 crew on board, and they cooked for us. They looked after us well. We just brought some extra drinks, but they gave us beer and soft drink, and yeah.
That sounds good, Joe. Well, something to look forward to next year. And if you want to have another look at that, it is on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'll shut that one down now, Joey.
Absolutely.
And we will move on with the show. So, yeah, not a lot of fishing happening in the last little while, Joey, as we spoke about. I did get out once on, when was it? Last Sunday. I briefly considered the old suicide mission down to Port McDonald to go chasing these barrels.
That was hilarious. I got in our group message with Dave. We they were considering going to Port Mac, leaving at 8:45 on a Saturday night to try and get there for the Sunday fishing because, according to Dave, proverbially it went off its tit, according to Dave. And he was very excited to just cannonball in the White Navara with the boat attached and just race on down there.
I had a rush of blood like when I was a young fella, Joey, and nearly and the adrenaline got going, and I was like, I can do this. You know that it's like 7 p.m. I can do this, and I was talking to Brendan. He's like, yeah, I'll come around right now. I'm like, we're doing this. It's actually we're going to do this, and then
even I got a rush of blood going. Oh my god, they're doing it! It's gone back to old days. Like that's the spirit. I love it.
Yeah, I know. And then 20 minutes or so went past, and it was like, no, it's a bit late, really, isn't it? We're going another time.
No,
the fish will be here forever.
I thought the actual critical moment of when the trip wasn't happening was, Maddie doesn't approve of death driving.
There was a little bit of that going on with my wife, yeah, but so the next day it was like, oh well, you should go fishing. I'm like, oh, but I wanted to catch big tuna or swordfish. Oh well, we can go squidding. That's fun. I'm like, I guess. So we went out just for the arvo, a little family trip, Joey.
Well, the squidding's been unbelievable in Western Port at the moment. That's not such a bad consolation prize.
No, that's right. And it looks like I can't play that video because it's going to be sideways. But
we saw one Peter Ferguson absolutely spray them giant cephalopods in Western Port in the upper reaches of it. So, like the big squid in Western Port have been on fire. But but how did you go?
No, well, Joey, it's very hard making excuses here. No, we only went out for a couple of hours. It's very hard when you got a 1.5-year-old with you. You just wanted snacks and to yell. So I was just on daddy duty, and Maddie was having a cast, and she caught a nice squid, and I managed to convince her to let me stitch it up and place a 13-0 circle hook in it.
Oh,
so that worked out well for me, Joey.
I was about to. You just answered my question. I was like, surely you took some to eat.
No. Well, because there was only the one cord, it was like, can't be bothered. I'm just gonna stitch her up. And I said to Maddie, you can either eat this medium-sized squid, and it will be barely a meal for two, or I can transfer that squid into somewhere in the vicinity of 150 kilos of swordfish.
Mate, you guys are absolutely hopeless. You winger, you're all hopeless. Like, we go and catch squid, like they're never eaten. They're always kept on ice or fresh or patted dry in a little Tupperware container to kept as bait.
Yeah.
We don't eat squid when I go fishing with these blokes. I don't understand it.
I know, and when I do...
It really grinds my gears. you blokes don't eat squid. Like, far out.
When I do take the time to eat squid, Joey, you're right, it is pretty exceptional. But it can also be crap. You know that? If you're not cooking it correctly, that's probably why some people decide they prefer to use it for bait.
We've been around this rabbit hole. Like, I still haven't found the perfect way to catch squid. I'll let everybody cook it, but yeah, maybe because I don't keep so much squid when I go fishing with you blokes. Yeah.
Look, if you really want it super tender, all I can say is kiwi fruit, Joey. The acidity and the enzymes break down the calamari flesh, but you can't leave it on there for too long or it just turns it to mush. But if you appreciate a bit of texture, then there's nothing wrong with just nice, fresh squid. Actually, controversially, Joey, I'm not a massive fan of the rings these days, especially on the big squid, because they don't cook quite as evenly. I prefer to strip it, cross hatch, and score the flesh, and then a quick shallow fry.
Oh man, you're making me hungry. I haven't had dinner yet, but that sounds delicious. We're doing squid to eat next time.
We're doing squid to eat next time. The ones that are too big for baits, you can eat. How's that sound, Joey?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we're really going to have to do well on squid.
So, yeah. Hello, everyone here on the live feed. Good to see you all.
Mate, there's a huge turnout. We got 42 people on the live feed watching. We got Shane L's in the house. We got YouFish TV. We got Simon Webby. We've got Madeline Whitty. We can't miss her.
Telling lies on there, my wife is. Anyone who wants to have a bit of input in tonight's show, we will directly involve that in the show because it is just us and you tonight, up late and personal.
This is up late, and we've listened to your feedback. You've enjoyed the guests that have come on, but you want some more Dave and Joey action. We're giving the people what they want.
That's it. And I'm enjoying the banter in the live feed there as well. So if you're listening to this audio format, it is worth your while. If you're at home, not doing anything on a Wednesday, Thursday night, keep an eye on our socials for when we go live. You can jump on there. And there's a good community of Wind Against Tiders that love to get a bit of banter going. And it's great to see from our side, isn't it, Joey?
Absolutely. Dave, have you got that video of our good friend down south?
Jonah?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think Jonah would realise he's going to be involved in the show tonight. But
we're going to have a first Wind Against Tide live reaction to a video that we were sent today, and Dave's got that queued up right now. Here it is.
It's a bit of fishing technology, Joey. So Jonah's down there at the moment at a thing called AgFest in northern Tasmania, I think it is, and he's having.
He's got a rod in his hand and he's attached to about a 75-inch LED TV, and he seems to be a squid. He's swimming along on the screen, and it's grabbed its squid jig, and this fishing rod's attached to the TV. One of those. It's like a big giant fishing video game he's playing.
Yeah, and
look at it! It's pulsing. It's pulsing its way to freedom.
But the main thing we found quite humorous about this is the pure joy and exhilaration on a man's face who has caught many thousands of real squid.
Well, it's really pulsing back on him. Like, have a look at it.
Many thousands of real squid amongst plenty of other game fish. The man's having the time of his life.
Oh, I just sprayed some water and jizzed some ink there at the same time. He's really lapping up. I tell you what, I used to, my favorite of all time fishing video game like this, if anybody can remember at the arcades in about the early 2000s, it was Sega Big Bass Fishing, where you're on a bass fishing lake and you had a little rod and reel and you're catching bass. But there's been some great fishing video games over the years. Dave, have you ever played a fishing video game?
Oh yeah, the old time goat of fishing video games had to be the Bass 99. Was that what it was called? Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, the Sega bass fishing one.
Yeah.
Then I go back again, maybe another 7 or 8 years before then. I used to sit like in this chair, and they had a big game fishing rod, and you used to rock back on it, and they had all this video footage playing of like professionally shot on a VCR camcorder of all these different tropical fish. I forget the name of that, but I remember that from Time Zone, from my lock-in session in the late 90s, probably around the time Mortal Kombat 3 came out, somewhere thereabouts. But yeah.
Well, I think that's basically what that thing is that Jonah's playing on right there. You can set that to whatever species you want. That these guys have done squid mode, Joey.
Yeah, it's an updated fishing video game.
Yeah. So, apologies to whatever kid Jonah's pushed out of the way to have a turn on of that on. But, if you're down there at AgFest, go and see Jonah Yick. He's down there representing Fisheries Tasmania. And have a chat to him. He's a very approachable fella. If he's not playing on that video game, that is.
Yeah, he's not intimidating at all in that policeman's uniform.
Bit of a question on the live feed there from Leroy. He wants to know what's our go-to fishing for winter going to be, or what it normally is, Joey. It is coming into that time of year. It's getting a bit cooler.
Well, I still had an absolute ball the other week chasing the old chin dogs at Lake Purrumbee. I'd definitely like to get back and do that, and maybe get a cabin and start up a big roaring bonfire at night, and have a couple of wine and whiskies, and really make it a full experience.
Yeah, I saw a few of the boys were out there yesterday, actually, Joey, and it looked like a Hawaii 5.0 wind on that little lake. Remember when we got there and we thought that we were going to have beautiful, calm waterway, and we got there and it was white capping, and we're like, oh God,
no,
we've driven 3 hours and it's going to be too rough.
Dave was shitting himself. He saw.
He was. Shit.
It was. He goes, "There's white caps on this lake, and we've just driven 3 hours, thinking, oh, we'll try something in the freshwater." And but
no, tell people what really happened, Joe. I was not shitting myself. You in your little boat were doing like you wouldn't even plane because you were worried about the tiny waves. I'm like, just go, Joe. And sure enough, flat out, and the beautiful Quintrex rode over those ripples and took us safely across the other side.
It did into the calm, sheltered, still waters near the old windmill.
But yeah, in terms of fishing options during winter, that's definitely one of them. You can go inland and go on the trout. Obviously, tuna goes right through winter. Do we ever cover tuna on this show, Joe? I don't think we do.
Oh, occasionally. Okay, apart from the obvious, we are a tuna centric show. But I'll tell you what I wouldn't mind doing this year, flicking for salmon off the beach.
Oh, old school, Joey.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, that was the pinnacle of Victorian sports fishing. It's like, oh, you can actually catch stuff on lures in winter. That's pretty cool. And everyone used to go and do lure fishing off the beach.
It was. I remember back in the day, old Lofty from Complete Angler. He'd get a bus full of anglers. They'd pick them up from the tackle shop, and they'd go beach fishing for salmon for the day.
Yeah, I do. There was definitely salmon charters, Joey. So you
salmon charters.
So you want to get back involved you want to bring back that winter salmon fishery, do you?
Yeah, I want to bring back the winter salmon fishery, big blackback salmon, and you got your little bum bag with your bait in it and your waders, and your giant metal rod holder. Just wham that in the sand. And get some jingly bells on your 8-foot rod. And
so, do you think that the numbers of those salmon have decreased, or that anglers are just chasing better things like tuna?
Well, that's one option. What else you got? Salmon beach fishing. What else can you do in winter?
Well, there's the winter snapper. If you want to give yourself a challenge in both our bays.
Oh yeah, the old wait for 8 hours to get a half and flathead nibble, and maybe might be a snapper.
Well, the ones you get are very rewarding, Joe, and they're generally pretty big. So if that's what gets you going, then it's certainly a good option. But yeah, like you say, it's shorter bite windows during winter, a lot of hard work, but they're nice fish,
No, I was just poking fun at it. No, it's really cool. When the weather does calm down, you can sit up those skinny channels at the top of Western Port in the brown, calm water and potentially get a big winter red. It's not uncommon to get 6, 7, 8, 9 kilos in the winter if you're chasing those big reds up in Western Port.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Brenton's saying, Joey, for your salmon charters, Inverloch goes good or shallow inlet off the sand. And I can tell you, many years ago, I remember fishing Inverloch, and we boated out to this sandbar, and we were casting flies off it and catching beautiful big salmon on fly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would have thought Venus Bay as well.
Yeah, Venus Bay, very popular for salmon, that whole stretch of water. But back on the, we're jumping around between species here, but the snapper.
Winter snapper, Western
offshore, Joe, they can be quite good, especially down that surf coast and through to the southwest there. There's good deep water snapper fishing throughout the winter. So potentially that could be where a lot of our bay fish actually end up, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. Good mate of mine, Sean Hildyard, when he first immigrated from South Africa to Melbourne, he was a rock fisherman. He used to catch hammerhead sharks off the rocks in South Africa. And when he first came to Melbourne and wanted to get into fishing, well, naturally, he just was asking the local tackle shops what's the best rock fishing to do in Melbourne. And he got directed to Punch Bowl down on the coast there, which is
good old Death Rock.
That's exactly right. One of the most dangerous rock fishing spots ever of all time. And this was about August, end of August, start of September, which was close to the annual run of the Western Port snapper. So he's gone with his South African rock fishing gear and went down to Punch Bowl. And he always tells me this story that he went to those rocks on that day, and the other bloke next to him was catching all these big snapper. He reckons at the time, would have been at least 6, 7, 8 kilos, and they'd caught a few of them on that day. And that Punch Bowl it does face the ocean, and maybe, as you were mentioning, the snapper being offshore, they could have been schooling up just outside the bay of Western Port, getting ready to come in. So
Yeah, potentially. Now, what makes that spot so dangerous, you reckon, Joe? Have you actually been there yourself or had a look at it?
I've been there with Sean. We've
Yeah.
caught a snapper. There. It's it's very. It's not. It if it was wet, it would be very very slippery. To actually get down to the platform, it's a little bit of a climb down, but not just that. It's faces the Southern Ocean, and if it's really swelly on an incoming tide, there is quite a bit of surge that can sweep you off the rocks. But
The
I don't
old
know why do you think it's so dangerous, Dave?
I haven't fished it myself. I've only heard legend of it. I've had a look at it off the boat. It kind of does look as though there's not really anywhere to run and hide. Once a wave comes up over that rock face, it's there's a rock wall basically behind you. So it's hard to really get to any higher ground in a hurry. So I guess that's how it catches people unawares. It could be a combination of it being very dangerous and people going there being unprepared and maybe a little bit green around the gills, Joey.
Yeah. Look, if you're not familiar with that spot, just stick to salmon beach frolicking, I say.
The Capt has said they got some snapper off Pyramid Rocks about a month ago, Joey. So, and it was also good to see the Capt came past my house yesterday and grabbed one of his hoodies that he'd bought. So, people, if you want a hoodie, we've still got some of the with the tide style left, and we're doing pre-orders for King Kong, Donkey Kong hoodies right now. They
Yeah.
end.
King Kong, Donkey Kong match. Look.
Yeah, you're gonna have King Kong, Donkey Kong on your hoodie and a big, warm, fluffy, nice hoodie, and we're doing pre-orders for that.
That's right. I think that ends on the 7th, which is this Sunday, I think, Joey. So
Yeah.
on the 7th, and then after that, Joey's coming after you for your money, and then we're placing orders. So Joey's the money man.
Oh, am I now?
He'll be coming right after you like a psychopath.
Very good.
Now, down in the southwest, Joey, this week, not much fishing went on because it's been quite rough. But a good friend of the show, a guest that we had a few weeks ago, had quite a marvelous capture when he hooked and landed a beautiful dolphin fish.
Oh, the old mahi mahi. Yeah, there was an absolutely huge mahi mahi caught at Portland. Was this today, Dave?
I think this was a couple of days ago. So this was on Matthew Hunt's vessel.
Yeah.
And that's a reasonably sized female dolphin fish, Joey. So,
And the lure is almost the same color as the fish. What kind of lure do you reckon that is, Dave?
I reckon that'd be a Bond's Exocet, Joey, at a guess.
Oh, I love it.
There you go. There you go. Good lure test for you.
Yeah.
Very, very good barrel.
Your lure
by the
game
way.
is strong, Dave.
It is strong. Actually, we might do a little bit of talking about lures in a minute.
Oh.
But now the interesting thing about that was there was a lot of comments about global warming. This is amazing. Can't believe that someone's caught a dolphin fish in that location, Portland being notable for its cool water currents and cool water fish. But it's not the first time that's happened. It's happened, used to happen quite regularly. And I would put it down to back in probably like 2010, 11, 12, 13. A lot more people were going out to the shelf to catch bluefin because there wasn't such regular awesome runs of big fish and small fish in close to the rocks there, Cape Nelson and Cape Bridgewater, Joey. So it's pretty rare for people to even really need to venture out to the shelf anymore. And these dolphin fish are probably a little bit more of a deeper water fish. So that's why I think there's been less interaction with them with the charter boats and wreck anglers. It's been a few years since we've seen one, but that's a beautiful example of a dolphin fish. And they ride on the currents it's called a Lewin current, Joey. It comes from the west, and they ride those currents down West Australia and across, and that's why we see them here off Portland. So how far they keep going from that point would be really interesting to know, I reckon.
Yeah, that's really interesting stuff, Dave.
So that'd be quite the capture, wouldn't it? If you were out of Portland and you had one of them to bring home, and Joey, they're really good eating. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Is that King Kong Donkey Kong catch of the week?
Joey, I've got that and another one lined up for a little bit later in the show.
All right, we'll save the sound effect for the second one. But true story, I caught my first mahi mahi this year. Did you know that?
Did you, Joey? Was that on the aforementioned trip?
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't, was it? It was in Australian waters.
No, I caught my first mahi mahi in I think it was February or March this year when we went up to Narooma chasing the marlin, and we had 2/3 of the day out off Narooma, and we were catching they were pretty they were small, but we were getting them off the fish traps because mahi mahi they're very attracted to artificial. Artificial fads or fish aggregation devices. So, they had like these cray pots down, and they must have just been attracted to the rope or stuff hanging off it. I don't know, but every time the captain was saying keep driving towards the bubbles, being the pink balloons of the cray pots. Every time we just swung the lures past the pink bubbles, we were getting mahi mahi, but. I think the mahi mahi I caught, like it was getting quite rough. I was looking at this Tiagra on this rod, and I'm watching the spread as you do when you're marlin fishing because you have to watch the lures. And I'm like, hey, I think we're weeded again. Looks like there's this yellow weed stuck to one of the riggers, and it was the smallest mahi mahi I've ever seen in my life.
Little instant skip bait.
It was just like, poor thing. It was gone, but I was just like, like this being brought in.
But the ones that they do get at Portland generally are quite big, Joey, because I think the small ones probably can't really withstand that super cool water. In fact, a few years ago, there was a wahoo caught off Port Macdonald too. Did you know that?
A wahoo off Port Macdonald?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Probably a good 8 to 10 years ago, I reckon. Small wahoo. Yeah.
I'm just going to sidestep for a second. Okay. Wahoo off Port Macdonald, mahi mahi off Portland. There's been some other game species that are one-offs or one-hit wonders.
Man.
What about the butterfly mackerel?
That's less surprising than you may think. The butterfly max, that is in their distribution. Famously, or I don't know if that's the right word, we caught a big one of those down at Tassie.
Just describe for the people at home, what is a butterfly mackerel?
A butterfly mackerel is a kind of half dolphin fish, half tuna, half something else. And they
got teeth?
They do have small teeth from memory. It's been quite a while, Joey. We caught I think it was about 2014. We caught one about 30 to 40 kilo down there at Eagle Hook Neck. So they do get caught every now and then, but they're not super common. And I've been told apparently they generally were swimming in a male-female pair. And once you catch the one of them, you quite often will pick up the second one in the same area. And actually, I think dolphin fish are a little bit similar in that way as well, Joey. I might actually do a quick Google, see if I can get up some info on
the other one-hit wonder while you're trolling for game fish in the southern waters. What was that thing called a slender tuna? Was that something that happened last year?
Yeah, there was one of them caught off Portland last year, and there's a few. They quite often are caught down at Tassie. All right, here we go. We've got some info up on the butterfly kingfish, as Wikipedia is calling them. So they're also known as a butterfly kingfish.
Oh.
So they're an ocean-dwelling, ray-finned, bony fish. They are in the mackerel family, Joey.
It looks a bit like a mackerel too, like the back of it. Yeah.
So it shares with tunas, mackerels, Spanish mackerels, and bonitos. So that's the fish it's kind of more related to. It's unique in that it's the only scombrid to be classified apart from the rest. So it's its own subfamily, which I won't even attempt to say, Joey. Some sort of long sciencey word there. So it's been accepted with the name butterfly kingfish. This has had many common names, including big-scaled mackerel, big-scale mackerel, butterfly mackerel, butterfly tuna, scaled tunny, scaly tuna, and others. So I believe that these are not uncommonly caught by the longliners out wide off the bottom of Tassie and that sort of thing, Joey. And if memory serves correct, they are also caught off South Africa as well.
Yeah, there you go.
And you'll be interested in the fact that they are absolutely delicious.
Maybe that's why you guys been calling them butter pigs.
Beautiful white flesh, Joey.
Yeah,
Cooked up really well, that fish.
we can make chicken nuggets from them.
Yeah, the other thing that that reminded me of was I'm sure I saw this week there was a coral trout caught in Port Phillip Bay, but and I thought I
No.
should save that for the podcast.
Now you're pulling my leg.
No, I'm absolutely sure of it. I'll see if anyone else can find that. I'm sure I saw it this week, unless it was like a joke. Someone picked up a coral trout that was floundering around, but there's definitely some strange stuff happening.
Was it something that the lobster cave might have thrown out?
Well, yeah, you'd think that's probably the more likely reasoning, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
To be found inside Western Port.
The fish that get rejected.
Now, a lot of people quite frequently ask us nearly every time we open up questions on the podcast about our tuna lure rigging. So me and Joe have decided we're going to do a full tuna rigging video for everyone very shortly. So we're going to go through exactly what size leaders, how we do it, blah, 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 and do a detailed breakdown for everyone. But just for tonight, I thought I'd bring in a couple of our big barrel lures, Joey.
Yeah, what are you holding there in your hands right now, Dave?
So this one is probably one of the all-time most popular big tuna catching lures throughout Victoria, but it's a JB Dingo, Joey, and it's in a colour called Big Dog, which is
JB Lures, made in Jarvis Bay.
They are, Joey, by Dave Venn.
Yep, another famous lure maker.
Yes. So this one's actually got quite a few scratches. It's had a torrid life itself, Joey. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly, for the podcast listeners, go through a quick recap of how we get these ones ready to be towed around the ocean, Joe.
And how many inches is that skirt?
So this is a 10-inch. So I find that to be a pretty good all-round size for the big tuna around here.
Will small tuna nip at a 10-inch?
They do. You wouldn't believe sometimes the size of a lure that a tiny tuna will eat, Joey, when they're in a hungry mood, which is quite funny because sometimes when you're fishing for those small tuna, you're trying to match the hatch with little white bait and stuff. And but when they're hungry, they'll attack just about anything, Joe. So this one is rigged with about 2 meters of, that's 200-pound regular moi moi. And you can see the top crimp there if the camera will focus.
We were talking to Al McGlashan last week and he uses fluorocarbon. Why do you use 200-pound just regular mono over say a fluorocarbon?
So we've kind of gone through a few different sizes and types of leader throughout the years. When we first started catching big tuna, we were running quite light with 130-pound fluorocarbon, going light to get the bite.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was in Tassie, and we were using quite small lures, so potentially that made a little bit of a difference. I'm not really so sure about that. I think that especially with these bigger lures, I know guys that run 300, 400-pound leader, Joey, and they don't have an issue getting a bite. So I think when they're chasing something this big that's making that much disturbance in the water, maybe they're not that worried about being able to see something that's dangling in front of it. And especially if you're running like a spreader bar or something that's making a lot of noise in front of it anyway, I don't think it really matters. But for me, a good medium ground is 200-pound. I've still been bitten off by a big tuna on 200-pound regular mono like this. Even last year it happened.
Yeah, right.
But if you ever have a look at a tuna's mouth, they've got pretty big teeth, Joey. People don't think about that, but they've got actually reasonably sharp teeth.
Oh, yeah.
And if they get that mono in the scissor of the jaw or in the wrong spot, they will wear through just about anything, Joe. So, so about 2 meters of that 200-pound, just a single crimp at the top and a bit of line protector there. And then one interesting thing to note about these JBs is they've got like a brass insert, and the edges at the front of that is actually a little bit sharp. If you have one of these at home, have a look at it. The tube is a little bit sharp, and you'll find once you've towed a lure around for quite a long time, it'll wear a little slot in that leader and eventually it'll break there. So I put a bit more of tubing through the front of the lure and melt it on the end so it can't go through. And that protects
give us a look at that.
That protects the line there, Joe.
Let's see if I can have it. See, get that there. So yeah,
Yeah. So a bit of soft tubing just protects your line there, prevents it from breaking.
yeah,
And then in the business end of the skirt, which is all hidden underneath, we're just running a little wire hook set. It's a swivel rig, so virtually identical to how Peter Pakula's rigs are.
what's the benefit of having a swivel there?
The swivel just allows the hook to rotate freely and just adds a good connection between the mono and the wire, Joe.
Okay.
But I like the wire hook set because, as I said, those tuna have pretty big teeth. And I really am a big fan of these dojo hooks as well. I've tried a few different ones in the past, and I like these ones because you will always need to sharpen them out of the packet, Joe, as with
Really?
most stainless hooks. Yeah. Any stainless hook, you should really be filing out of the packet. They don't come sharp. Most of them don't come sharp anyway. So I like the fact that I can sharpen these to a really nice point.
How do you like to sharpen your hooks?
Just a little hand file, Joey.
Yep.
So you just sharpen a bit of a V shape onto the top of it, and then it creates a nice point.
And the size of the hook there that you've got?
So that's a DX35 Pakula.
DX35, 10-inch skirt, DX35, 200-pound leader.
Yeah. So for everyone that asks us about that nearly every week, there's a quick rundown for you.
Yep, but we're gonna make a video of it, and we'll make a video and show you how to put it all together. Well, Dave's going to show you how to put it all together.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Everyone's still kicking along in the chat there. I see, Joey. Some good stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leroy's asked how long does a school tuna run at Portland generally? All year nearly now.
Yeah, absolutely, all year. And have they stopped out the front in the local waters yet, Dave?
No, there's still some school fish around locally. They're thinning out a little bit or becoming a little bit harder to catch, but it's also heaps of them down past Port Albert way, Joey. So between Port Albert and Lake sort of thing. There's still quite a few of them kicking around. So, but we'll leave that for the hookup.
Yes, we should.
Or maybe that can lead us into the hookup, Joe. Unless you've got something you want to cover before that.
No, let's go straight to the hookup.
Hey!
Welcome to the hookup, where we go around Australia and indeed the world for the freshest fishing reports. Oh, it's my favourite time of the week, Joey. We've got not so much happening due to the horrible weather locally.
It's been terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Those that have braved the conditions have caught some nice fish, though, Joe. There's been some cracking whiting and squid, as we already discussed, getting caught in our local bays, Western Port and Port Phillip, especially up the North Arm there, Tyre Bank, off Hastings there, and down to Crib Point and Tortoise Head regions. You just got to kind of move around till you find the concentration of the squid, depending on the tide, Joey. Nice, thick, fat whiting, as we discussed last week, I think. Moving well afield, apparently there's some really good marlin fishing going on up the coast, Joe.
Absolutely. And Dave, I hope you can get the vision up there. Yeah, it was just with Fabian today, and we were in the lunchroom, and he was bringing up his rip charts. And have a look at this, what's going on right now on that New South Wales coast. These two huge eddies, and yeah, you can see that there could be some current slowing down between them. That is just a marlin cocktail made in heaven.
That's right, Joey. So there has been some good reports actually come from that region for the last few weeks. But yeah, if you have a look at that, there's a couple of eddies to the south and the north.
What's your take on this diagram, Dave?
Well, you've got the water slowing down pretty much, smack bang off Narooma there, with some reasonable altimetry, Joey. So yeah, Fabian's probably better at diagnosing all that than me. If he reckons it looks good, then it's probably good.
Yeah, no, he's saying it looks good, but no, I just thought, look, for the people, on the live chat, I want to share that picture with you. That looks like the perfect recipe to go and chase a marlin. The weather seems to be patchy, sort of between now and the end of the week before it really turns nasty. But I think we're going to see some marlin reports potentially come out of that region over the next couple of days.
Well, Joe, maybe your marlin dream's not over, as we've said almost every week.
Maybe the marlin train hasn't left the station just yet.
So yeah, there's that going on. And then further up, Joey, there's some exceptional blue marlin fishing happening up there off the Gold Coast.
Oh, really?
So yeah, quite a few blue marlin getting caught up there, Joey.
How big we talking?
Well, the thing about those blues is they could be anything from 50 kilo through to 500 kilo. They're one of the biggest game fish in the oceans, and probably one of the most sought after, Joe, because some of the performances they put on when hooked up is absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, well, we had our McGlashan on last week that went out for a lazy half-day fish off Sydney, and he's like, yeah, just caught 180 kilo blue marlin and a couple of small tuna, and that was his half-day fishing. So
I know, it's pretty good, isn't it?
yeah.
I'd bloody just love to get some weather to do anything at the moment. But yeah, so if you want to catch some marlin, there's still marlin about. You just got to go to a bit of effort to get them by the sounds of it, unless you already live up there. Hello to any Queensland listeners or watchers. Back down our way, Joey, the already discussed, we got tuna going really good right along the coast still. Lots of school fish, even off Apollo Bay at the moment with some big ones mixed in, and then the real big fish are going quite really well off Port Mac still. A few still kicking around at Portland as well amongst the school fish. So yeah, look at that to continue pretty much in one form or another for quite a few months to come.
Hey, I reckon those mulloway in the Glenelga are still going at the minute also.
Yeah, mulloway down there. Mulloway up here in Paddo River and Maribyrnong and that is a good option through winter too if you want to put the time in. There's definitely some of them around. Still kingfish kicking around as well, as we said last week. There's been a few whispers coming from...
A bit of a...
few whispers. We've got a little report in
bit
just
of a
before
sniff.
the show.
Bit of a sniff.
Coming from Western Port and also out there at the islands off Welshpool as well. Yukon bean trout going crazy still, Joey. That's pretty cool fishery. They're really big fish as well. So
yeah, big browns.
That'd be pretty exciting. Parham bait. A few boys went there yesterday.
Who went there yesterday?
Colby Glesko. I was viewing his socials, Joey, and I saw they're hitting up the beat, as we like to call it.
The beat.
And they got it stuck in some really nice tiger trout. And
the tiger trout. How big? How big?
They were a lot bigger than our one, Joe.
What?
They were proper tigers. Ours was a cub.
Oh my
god. On the lures too, which is pretty cool. And I think they got a nice they might have got some nice salmon as well, Joey. So
yeah, and yes, Winger, the Petrochromis cichlids are definitely on at Carrum Downs. You're definitely correct. That's definitely, they're on all the time.
I've said it before and I've said it again. I'd really like to catch those fish behind us. They look like they'd fight really good.
Yeah, they would.
Shane Lowry's saying the perch are running. Thanks for that, Shane.
The perch are always running. Shane, when are the perch not running? Seriously,
that's true,
buddy.
That is true. It's like tuna. They just never stop. But still, I'd be into catching them.
I think of that famous meme where there's like like tuna fishermen. There's all like these macho guys in a spa, and then perch fishermen. It's like all these like wiener guys in the spa.
Joe's made himself cough to death.
I crack myself up.
But it is actually, to be fair, it is very, very fun. They go bloody hard, Joey, those fish. EP are on at Bem as well, so you can go the other way, Simon's saying.
Yeah.
So Bem River, everyone, some nice EPs up that way as well.
What about the flatty dogs? If you want to catch flathead, what's going on with the flat dogs?
Well, I haven't heard any reports, Joe. I think flatty, the big dogs on the lures, is more of a warm weather thing.
Oh, okay.
Some of the other guys on the live feed can probably clarify that, but
yep.
And probably also when the prawns are running, probably gets those flathead quite up and active.
Anyone want to give us a flathead report? You can put it in the live chat right now. Continue, Dave.
So offshore gummy sharks and school sharks. A lot of guys are turning their attention to those things since the tuna are a little bit quieter.
A lot of gummies offshore in the last in the last little bit. Maybe it was coming up to that moon.
Potentially, Joey.
That would have had a lot to do with it.
That's right. So yeah, plenty of them getting around if you just kind of lump on any corally drop off offshore, huck some hunks of wrasse out, and some of those some of those sharks will sniff out your baits and you'll have the time of your life.
Yeah, maybe you could donate some of that eel from Purrum Beat to some gummy fishing.
Oh, no. That eel is stitched and ready to be deployed into the depths, Joey.
Yeah, a few hundred meters down to the depths. I know what Dave's got a plan. That eel has got a date with destiny. That eel that was caught from Purrum Beat is definitely has got a date with destiny.
He does. He's got, yeah. Hopefully, a buddy transforms into a nice sword or something, Joe. But yeah, that's about all we've got for the hookup this week. Hopefully, next week we've got some stuff to add of our own. If the weather will behave, Joey will be able to get back out on the water because it's been too long. It's been hard work.
It's been very hard work, but we'll get back. We will get back out there.
To the catch of the week, Joey, we've already half awarded Matt Hunt with his beautiful mahi off Portland. But the other thing I found was bloody awesome was these guys from down at Tassie, Seismic Fishing Team. I don't know if you guys listen to the podcast, but I saw what you guys had wrote up this week and thought that's bloody cool. Someone doing something different, opening up potentially a different fishery. So I'm going to read a little bit of what they got up to recently.
Oh, wait. Just before you do that.
King Kong, Donkey Kong match. Look at this.
Suraj has endorsed it now. This is the King Kong, Donkey Kong Catch of the Week, Part 2.
Beautiful. Any week that we get to play Suraj twice is a good week, Joe. All right. So these guys were recently out on a sword trip. They decided to put a heavy jig down to keep themselves occupied whilst their sword bait was drifting up. The first time they put the jigs out, they were immediately successful catching healthy-sized blue-eye trevally, and they hooked something large which pulled some string off only to pull the hooks with no identity. So they upped the leader and they put another jig down, and next drop they hooked something massive. 4 hours later, Joey, they busted off in the dark without seeing what it was. They think it was probably a swordfish. These guys have caught plenty of swordfish, so potentially that could have been what it was. And what an exciting catch or fishery that would be to be jigging for swords. So they went out again not long after, and same thing again, dropped a jig, and this time they hooked a beautiful, as you can see in the photos below, 80-kilo bluefin, and in fact they dropped another one on the jig, and that's I think that's that would be pretty fun thing to be doing while you're sword fishing, I reckon, Joe.
That's unreal. What do you reckon that jig will weigh? Maybe 200 grammer?
No, it'd be more than that. I'd say probably 300 to 500 grams.
And while this is my thoughts around it. That water's hundreds and hundreds of meters. Like you maybe drop it down 100 meters before you click it back into gear and jig it back up to you. Like the amount of fish that must swim past you when you're on those sea canyons. Like it could be just a smorgasbord of fish down there. Like you really could be a lucky dip of anything, of a pelagic off those canyons.
Yeah, well, I think it's cool. Like anything, like maybe an opa. Like we hooked one of those unexpectedly a few years ago. Which I've already taught my little boy how to say opa, by the way. It's very cute. Opa. So yeah, we've caught opa down deep. There's all sorts of cool ooglers down there. So jigging is a very cool option, and in my opinion, that gives these guys and the dolphin fish off Portland catch of the week, Joey.
Yeah, love it.
We want to have a look at some questions to finish us off for this evening.
All right, yeah, we're gonna go straight to questions.
Jonah wants us just to chat a little bit about electric reel fishing. He'd have a lot more experience with that than we would.
I haven't gone electric reel fishing. My only experience with an electric reel was with Dave and Mark Schulte. We were sword fishing, and we had the little the drill piece.
Oh, we've electrified a normal reel. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So basically, when you've got hundreds and hundreds of meters of swordfish line out, and it comes time to collect it in, usually it's one guy has to man up and wind that big gold reel until all that line comes back. But these guys had another system where they had an electric drill, and they would have an attachment that goes over the reel handle, and you just press the drill on, and the revolutions of the drill engages the handle and collects up all the line. So that's all I know about electric reel fishing. But have you had any experience with deep dropping or electric reel fishing, Dave?
Yeah, I haven't done it specifically. So it's normally I've been sword fishing. We've dropped the reel down. But when it's a quiet death spirally day on the swords, it's pretty exciting to put that hunk of meat down on the sword on the electric Joey, and it starts getting nibbles. It brings the morale up real quick. I call it a morale lifter. That it's a meat lifter and it's a morale lifter. That reel. So
It's a spirit lifter.
yeah, there's all sorts of cool stuff down there. The thing is, when you're sword fishing, maybe you're not putting yourself in the optimal position to be catching some of the very best bottom ooglies, because quite often they go really good on like a tide change or a change of light, which is when we tend to be focusing on catching our swordfish, Joe. So if you put in just a specific effort on the bottom fish out of lakes, for instance, I think you do really well. But some of the stuff we've caught over the years is like really big blue eye, like 10 to 12 and 14 kilo and bigger.
Man, and you told me those blue eyes that you caught were absolutely unbelievable to eat. I'd love to eat some blue eye. Is it really that good?
Yeah, it's exceptional eating, Joe. Yeah, I do really enjoy blue eye on the chew, but they take a bit of persistence and knowledge to actually get good at catching them. Some guys have really good blue eye marks and they guard them with their lives, a bit like snapper. But yeah, they're one of the options down deep there. You get pink ling, they're pretty actually easy to catch. They'll
What?
often eat your swordfish baits as well. But pink ling, those big ugly pink things that blow up like a balloon when you catch them.
Pink ring.
They're pretty common, and they do taste pretty good. They're not really appealing to look at or touch, but you can catch them out there in the depths, Joey. Grenadier, another thing. Well, a lot of people aren't that into the grenadier.
Blue grenadier, don't you use that as sword bait?
Yep, a lot of people
It-
use it for bait, but it's also very good eating, also known as hokey, Joey.
Is a blue grenadier similar to a frost fish?
Only slightly in appearance.
Okay.
So blue grenadier is a different species, but blue grenadier is what you'll get in your fish and chip shops, and you'll buy it as hokey as well, Joe. Which is it's quite flaky, so I like it cooked skin on the grenadier, and quite good eating. So yeah, the grenadier, there is the frost fish down there, like you were just saying. So yeah, I suppose with the electric fishing, it's just that lucky dip, but yeah, I guess if you put a lot of effort in specifically, you'd be catching some pretty cool stuff. If you fish maybe a bit shallower than we fish for the swords, you'd run into more stuff like trumpeter and harp hooker
Look,
and whatnot.
let's face it, if you're going to be, we're so limited to going sword fishing because it's such a long, long way out. Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to not want to go for a sword if you're going to blast all that way out into the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. It's so far and so hard for us to get out there that we really do try and put a lot of effort in to the target species. But if you head out, you can head out off places like Port Mac and stuff, and there's exceptional bottom fishing out there. It's not such a big run. So that's something that would be pretty exciting to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And just, on that as well, like, we talk about the timeline associated with sword fishing. You guys mostly are launching in the dark. It's an hour and 45 to get out there. And daylight savings is usually not on. So the days are quite short. And when it comes to the crunch of it, yeah, you've only really got what? How many hours, Dave?
Oh, well, yeah, by the time you run in and out, it's pretty short. The day goes pretty quick, Joey. Yeah, daylight to daylight, whatever that is, 6 well, what time's the light come up at the moment? 6:30ish,
Yeah,
7ish, and then goes down about same time, 6.
it's really 9 to 5, but yeah, you've got an hour and 45 of traveling.
And
each
if
way.
if there's bad weather on the bar, you don't want to be crossing that in the dark. So yeah, quite a short day, Joey.
Yeah,
Quite a short day. Sorry.
very good. Sammy, so Sam and Steve Felsinger have both asked us barrels with crying face emoji double, and any local barrels shown up yet. I'll tell you what, I'm going to address both of these questions. If you're prepared to go out in a boat with a decent engine that's got a a lot of mileage. That you can do sort of, I don't know, about anywhere from 100 to 200 kilometers a day, and you go anywhere from Cape Patterson all the way up to Gunnamatta and weave in and out of 50 to 80 meters of water. You've just got to be out there and looking. And if you're prepared to put the time and effort in to go out and just have a look, you will get rewarded.
I like that, Joe. Basically, what I would have said.
So we have heard whispers.
There
of-
has
there has been
not
some whispers
whispers.
of
There
that.
has been.
Has been, Dave?
There has been a couple caught throughout the last few weeks. So the front of both ports, I believe. But we went out about a week or two ago, found it pretty quiet. I know a lot of people have. So, yeah, it's just a lot of hard yards. But hopefully, they'll thicken up if the right water pushes in throughout winter, because it's something we look forward to every year now. It's a fishery.
It's a fishery now. People can go and have a look. Go and look at those spots.
That's right. Simon Webby always comes up with the goods here, Joey. And a question from him. If you could only pick one location to fish for bluefin of all sizes from Southwest Vic, Melbourne, or Tasmania, which would you choose and why? Am I answering?
Say that again.
If you could only pick one location to fish for bluefin, so you can pick from Southwest Victoria, local, or Tasmania, which one would you pick, Joey?
Bah. Well, they all require effort. I'm loving tuna fishing from our local home waterway. It's just there's just something really nice about catching them at home and swinging past the fish and chip shop on the way back in. So I'm going to say Melbourne.
Yes, but I'm not picking that if I want to actually catch one, am I? I'm picking that because it's special to catch one at home, and it's also really nice not to have to travel anywhere. If I just wanted to catch one, it'd be a really tough choice, I reckon, between Portland. Portland's bloody consistent. It's got such good structure. And yeah, almost always a chance if you go out from Portland looking. Or I'd probably say somewhere like Matt Syker off the south of Tassie there, Joey. Untouched. You need good weather, but the tuna are invariably there, and they're normally pretty big ones. So yeah, I'm going to go Matt Syker because it's a beautiful spot as well.
Oh yeah, it's nice. Even some of those spots off Eagle Hawk Neck there on that southern bit is just unbelievable. Can't wait to get back down there. In fact,
that's it. Pat O'Meara has said he's heard us say that I change top shots after every big fish. Do we re-rig the lure every time? I generally end up re-rigging it because I will have a look at it and check if there's any nicks or anything. And if anything looks dodgy on it, I'll chuck a new leader on. Most of the time you can hold it up in the light and it'll appear a bit milky if it's been stretched, that mono. And nearly every time you've run 12 kilo of drag over it does look that way. So yeah, pretty much always will re-rig. And with that rig, the lures I showed earlier, it's just a matter of changing the actual between the swivel and the part where you connect to the swivel in the hook rig and where you could connect to the snap swivel on your wind on leader. So it's pretty easy to do. One of the reasons I run them that way, Joey. I think we've nearly covered everything else, haven't we?
Yeah. Another tuna question from Gibber_D. What percentage chance do I have of catching a tuna off Barwon Heads next weekend?
Yeah, I think they're still around. I think they're dispersed a little bit and maybe moving around pretty quickly. I'm going to give you 50%.
Yeah, I'm going to say, 50%. That's fair.
Beautiful. Well, I think that covers most of the questions there, Joey, unless I'm missing any. I think that's it, isn't it?
No, we've really covered everything in different forums as well. So yeah.
Bloody beauty. All right. Well, it's been a ripper show, Joey. It's been good just catching up, me and you. I've enjoyed the chit chat, and I'll look forward to doing it again with you soon, mate. And thanks everyone who's jumped on and been listening and commenting tonight.
Absolute bumper of a show. 46 people in the live room, and most of them have stayed on for the whole hour that we've been on. So we appreciate your support. We can't have this show without anybody listening to it. So thank you so much.
Love you all, and don't forget to buy a hoodie.
Yes.
King Kong, Donkey Kong, mate.
3 times.